That afternoon, sunlight poured through the large glass window of a small beauty salon tucked away on a corner in Zapopan, Jalisco. The air inside smelled of hair wax, makeup powder, and the quiet rush of a busy day. Valeria Marquez was live streaming just like she always did. She wore a simple white shirt, her hair neatly tied back. Her voice was soft and calm, rising between the hum of hair dryers and gentle background music. Her face glowed under the salon lights, her lips curling into a soft smile, eyes looking directly into the camera lens. Behind her, a large mirror reflected stylists working with clients. Everything felt normal, even peaceful. Hearts floated up on the screen, comments flashed by quickly. "You're glowing. Your skin looks flawless. Love from Brazil." Valeria read a few messages and smiled again. She leaned forward to grab a jar of cream, holding it up to show her viewers. The live stream continued, flowing along like any other day. Then, just for a moment, her eyes paused. She glanced toward the door. A man had entered. He wore a light gray jacket and a cap. In his hands, he held a small package wrapped in pale pink paper. His steps were slow, calm. He didn't say a word. Valeria hesitated for a second, then stood up from her chair. She walked toward him. Her expression seemed uncertain but polite. She smiled and reached for the gift. The camera kept rolling. The angle was slightly tilted. It didn't catch the man's face clearly, but it showed his movements, steady, deliberate. Then a sudden shift. He reached into his jacket. The room seemed to freeze. Less than a second later, a loud, sharp bang echoed off the salon walls. Valeria collapsed. There was no scream, no time to call for help. Her body folded like a leaf caught in a gust of wind. A coworker shrieked from across the room, but that sound drowned in the steady hum of the dryers, in the music that kept playing as if nothing had happened. Blood spread across the white floor tiles. The man turned and walked out, quick, clean, vanishing through the door as if he'd never been there. The phone kept streaming. The camera was still running. The image trembled, tilted now, showing flashes of panic. A customer running, someone falling, a voice crying. The live stream went on for a few more seconds before cutting to silence. No one could believe what they had just witnessed. Some thought it was a cruel prank. Others assumed Valeria was acting. But then the screen went dark. All that remained was silence and a feeling no words could ever fully explain. That was Valeria Marquez's final live stream. A moment that began with before the live stream ended in horror, before headlines screamed her name across the internet, before strangers mourned a girl they had never met. Valeria Marquez was simply Valeria. She was 23 years old, born and raised in Zapopan, a city nestled in the heart of Jalisco, Mexico. Like many young women her age, she had dreams, but unlike most, she was living them. Valeria had always loved beauty, not just the kind found in makeup or filters, but in transformation. She believed that confidence could bloom from a well-styled eyebrow, a smooth hairstyle, a pop of color on someone's lips. And so she built her own little sanctuary, a beauty salon, small but full of light, mirrors, and laughter. Outside of her salon, Valeria shared her life on TikTok. Her account quickly gained followers thanks to her charm, her soft voice, and her honest smile. She wasn't loud or flashy. She didn't chase trends. She just showed up consistently, kindly, authentically. Her fans loved her for it. They followed her tutorials, copied her skincare routines, and listened as she spoke about self-love, hard work, and chasing your own path. She represented something rare. A young woman growing a business from the ground up without scandal or shortcuts, but success didn't make her untouchable. Fame didn't shield her, and the city she called home, while full of color and warmth, was also shadowed by danger. In Mexico, being a young, successful woman comes with a quiet warning, one that doesn't need to be spoken aloud. Eyes follow you longer, strangers watch, doors are double-checked, and routines are kept hidden. Because too often success is not admired, it is punished. Still, Valeria kept going. She opened her salon's doors each morning, greeted her clients with a smile, turned on the lights, and went live. Her phone became her companion. Her viewers, her community. Every live stream was a chance to share a little joy, to connect. She let people into her space, into her daily rhythm. But no one, not her fans, not her coworkers, not even Valeria herself, could have imagined that letting the world in would one day invite death in too. She wasn't involved in scandal, she had no public enemies, no police record, just a girl with a ring light, a shelf of skincare products, and a dream. Yet for someone out there that was enough, enough to follow her, enough to plan. Enough to end her story in front of the same camera she used to share her life. Valeria Marquez wasn't just another internet personality, she was someone's daughter, a friend, a mentor. A young woman building. It was a Tuesday afternoon. The streets of Zapopan were alive with everyday motion, the hum of traffic, vendors calling out, music spilling from storefronts. Inside Valeria's salon, it was business as usual. The scent of hairspray and shampoo floated in the air. A curling iron hissed softly on the counter. Valeria was seated in front of her phone, live streaming like she had done dozens of times before. Her screen showed the warm, familiar setting. White walls, a soft ring light, and the mirrors that lined the salon. She greeted her viewers, held up a new moisturizer, explained its texture, and dabbed a bit on the back of her hand. Her voice was steady, her tone calm. It was routine. Safe, predictable until it was. At 4:20 p.m. the door to the salon opened. A man stepped inside. He wasn't a customer. He wasn't a friend. He carried no appointment, no smile, only a small, neatly wrapped package in pale pink paper. He walked in quietly, blending into the background noise. No one screamed, no one panicked. He looked like a delivery man, someone dropping off a gift, maybe a package from a fan or a product from a sponsor. Nothing out of the ordinary. Valeria noticed him and stood up from her seat. Her expression changed just slightly. A small pause, a flicker of confusion, but she approached him anyway, politely as always. The man handed her the package, and in that instant everything shifted. With one swift motion, he reached inside his jacket. The live stream caught only the side of his body, not his face, not his eyes, but it was enough, a flash of metal. A sharp crack, then another, 2 shots, 2 seconds. Valeria dropped to the floor before anyone could move. The camera, still rolling, showed only chaos, a chair knocked over, a client screaming, someone diving to the ground. One of the stylists ran toward her, while another bolted toward the street, but the man was already gone. He turned and walked out the door calmly, slipping into the outside world as if nothing had happened. No shouting, no panic. Just the chilling silence that follows something unspeakable. The phone kept streaming. For several more seconds, the feed continued. Viewers watching from their homes had no idea what they had just seen. Some thought it was a prank. Others believed it was staged. The sound had distorted. The image shook. Was she acting? Was this part of some campaign? But the silence, it was too real, too long. Moments later, the stream cut off. The internet would soon explode with clips of the footage, replayed, slowed down, analyzed frame by frame. But in that room, in the quiet shell of a once busy salon, time had stopped. Police were called. Emergency services arrived. But it was already too late. Valeria Marquez, just 23 years old, was declared dead at the scene. The package she had been handed lay unopened beside her. She had welcomed a stranger through the door, accepted what looked like a gift, and paid for it with. At first, no one believed it. The live stream had ended so abruptly, no warning, no explanation. Some viewers thought Valeria had fainted. Others assumed her phone had fallen. There were even comments joking about the sudden plot twist. But then the silence lingered, and the screen stayed black, and the next post never came. Within hours, the internet lit up with confusion, concern, and chaos. Viewers from all over the world began sharing the final seconds of Valeria's live stream. A clip no longer than 20 seconds was posted, reposted, cropped, slowed down, and dissected. Did she just get shot? Was that real? Someone call the police. Tell me this is fake. But it wasn't fake. By the time the news broke later that evening, it had already gone viral. Headlines flashed in every language. Influencer shot dead on Livestream. TikTok star killed during broadcast. Murder on camera, Mexico in shock. People watched in horror, not just because a young woman had been murdered, but because they had watched it happen. In real time from their phones in their homes, and they had done nothing, because there was nothing they could do. That helplessness haunted many. Some viewers described how they had tuned in just minutes before the shooting. Others admitted they didn't realize what they had witnessed until long after. A few even said they refreshed her page, expecting a new post, hoping it was all some twisted prank. But Valeria's page went silent. Her salon was closed. Her light had gone out. In the days that followed, the video circulated faster than authorities could contain it. Despite efforts to remove it from platforms, copies continued to surface, often edited with dramatic music or clickbait titles. The tragedy was being consumed like entertainment, and that disturbed many even more. Critics asked, how had we become so desensitized? Why were people watching a murder like it was a movie? Why was her death going viral while her life was being forgotten? But others mourned her quietly. Candlelight vigils were held outside her salon. Fans lit candles, placed flowers, and left handwritten notes beside the closed doors. Messages filled the comments of her old videos. You didn't deserve this. Rest in peace, sweet girl. We watched your last smile, and we will never forget. Her face, once known for beauty tips and soft laughter, became a symbol. A symbol of how quickly life could be taken. A reminder that fame could. The investigation began within hours. Local police arrived quickly to Valeria's salon that Tuesday evening. But by then, the man who had shot her was long gone. No fingerprints, no name, no vehicle waiting outside. Just the empty shell of a crime that had already been seen by thousands, yet understood by no one. The footage helped to a point. Investigators reviewed the live stream frame by frame. They slowed down the video, zoomed in on the suspect's movements, tracked the time he entered and the angle he stood. But the man had come prepared. His hat cast a shadow over his face. His jacket was loose, hiding any identifying details. He never looked directly at the camera. He was calm, too calm, like he had done this before. Within days, authorities released an official statement. Valeria Marquez had been murdered execution style by a man posing as a delivery person. The attack appeared targeted, planned, and deliberate. It was not random, but beyond that, silence. Theories began to surface. Online, people speculated wildly. Some believed it was a jealous ex-boyfriend. Others said it was a case of mistaken identity. A few claimed Valeria had been secretly dating someone connected to a cartel and had become collateral in a bigger war. None of it was confirmed. In fact, investigators were careful, almost too careful in their language. They avoided naming any suspect. They avoided using the word cartel. But one word did appear again and again in official documents: femicide. In Mexico, femicide is a legal term used when a woman is killed because of her gender, often in acts of extreme violence or control. Valeria's death, though carried out in public and without obvious motive, fit the pattern. A woman, young and visible, silenced in the middle of her work, but who had ordered it, and why? Some reports mentioned that Valeria may have had a brief romantic connection with a man known to be linked to organized crime. A man who weeks earlier had disappeared from the area, but those were rumors, whispers without evidence. Her family denied everything. They described Valeria as quiet, hardworking, and focused. She spent long hours at the salon, rarely went out, and had no known threats. She had never spoken of fear, never mentioned being followed. Her phone showed no threatening messages. Her social media, carefully curated, gave no clues. In a country where thousands of women go missing each year, some wondered, would the case be forgotten too? The truth is, investigations like this often stall. Witnesses disappear. Evidence vanishes. Authorities go silent. And the killer, if he was a professional, had likely already left the city. Maybe the state, maybe the country. No arrest was made, no suspect was identified, no motive was confirmed. All that remained were questions. Who sent the package? Who ordered the hit? Why now? Valeria Marquez wasn't the first. She wasn't the only woman murdered in broad daylight that week. She wasn't the only one whose life was reduced to a few seconds of footage and a headline. And heartbreakingly, she won't be the last. In Mexico, femicide is not a new crisis, it's a long-standing epidemic. According to official reports, an average of 10 to 11 women are murdered each day. Their deaths are often violent, often public, often unsolved. And more often than not, they're forgotten. The term femicide goes beyond homicide. It means a woman was killed specifically because she was a woman, because of her gender, her visibility, her defiance, or simply her presence in the wrong place at the wrong time. Valeria wasn't breaking any laws, she wasn't involved in crime, she wasn't living a reckless life. She was working, live streaming, smiling, but she was visible. And sometimes, in places plagued by impunity and violence, that alone is enough. Femicide in Mexico wears many masks. It can look like domestic abuse that escalates. It can look like women disappearing on their way to school or work. It can look like a social media influencer being gunned down during a live stream. There's no single face of this crisis, no clear pattern to follow, only a rising number of women who vanish or are taken without answers. The system meant to protect them often fails, investigations drag. Police reports go unread, families are left begging for attention. Media outlets sensationalize stories for clicks, then move on. In many cases, femicide isn't even recorded as such, it's filed as assault, robbery, or simply unspecified. And so the cycle continues. Mothers carry signs with their daughters' names. Friends paint murals of the missing. Protests fill the streets, not for justice served, but for justice denied. In 2019, mass marches spread across major cities. Ni una menos, not one more, but the numbers kept rising. By 2025, femicide had become so normalized that some no longer react to it with shock. Only weariness, only quiet fear. Valeria's death stood out not because it happened, but because the world saw it. Live, unfiltered, undeniable, and even then nothing happened. No arrest, no conviction, no justice. What does it say when a woman can be murdered on camera and no one is held accountable? What does it mean when her life, her death, and her story are all reduced to a viral clip? For every Valeria, there are hundreds more we don't know by name. Women whose deaths weren't recorded, whose screams weren't streamed, whose stories ended in silence. Femicide is not just a crime, it is a message that says, the salon is quiet now. The once bustling space filled with mirrors, laughter, and the scent of shampoo stands still, empty. The lights have been turned off, the appointment book is closed. The chair where Valeria used to sit in front of her phone is untouched. A single flower rests on the counter. A candle sits near the mirror, its flame flickering in the soft wind coming through the door that no longer opens. Outside, people still walk past. Some slow down, some stop. A few take photos, others lower their eyes. The space has changed, no longer a business, but a memorial. It's where a dream was born and where it ended. Valeria's name trended for days. News outlets fought for details. Social media overflowed with messages of sorrow, rage, confusion, and then slowly, as always, it faded. A newer headline replaced hers. A newer tragedy took its place, but for those who knew her, and for those who watched her die, forgetting is not so easy. There's something haunting about witnessing death in real time, about seeing a smile one moment and nothing the next. About hearing a voice fade not into static, but into silence. People replayed the clip, hoping to make sense of it. Some said they noticed her shift in body language just before the shot. Others swore she knew something was wrong. But no one truly understood what they had seen, and maybe that's the most terrifying part. The live stream is gone now. Most platforms removed it, but echoes remain: screenshots, edited videos, reaction clips. Her final moments are scattered across the internet like digital ghosts, and yet, in all of that noise, her voice is missing. What would she have said had she known? What would she want people to remember? What part of her story was never told? For her family, there is only absence. Her seat at the dinner table, her untouched bedroom, her phone that still buzzes with messages from clients who don't know what happened. Her dreams frozen mid-sentence. For her fans, it's the silence between two posts. The realization that there will be no new skincare routine, no next makeup review, no late-night Q&A, just the quiet. And maybe that's what hurts the most, not the violence, but the void it leaves behind. In the end, justice never came. The man who walked into her salon vanished into the shadows. No arrest, no trial, no answers. And so her name joins a list, a long, growing list of women whose stories end the same way, suddenly, publicly, and without reason. She was more than a victim, more than a clip, more than a name in a hashtag. She was light, she was life. And she was taken. The camera may have stopped recording, but the silence it left behind still echoes. In the salon, in the city, in the hearts of everyone who watched and could do nothing. If Valeria's story moved you, let it be more than just a moment of silence. Click like to help more people hear her name. Share this video, because stories like hers are still happening, and they're